ready to head off. Didn't realise my pants were broken from the crash. Can't do them up. So, the morning of the ride, I pull my pants up, get everything on, get the pants up, and I realise the plastic tongue that goes inside of the buckle, the tongue is completely disconnected from the main pants. I'm thinking, oh no, how am I going to do these up? I've got to roll, got to get out of here. The boys will meet me up the shed at 7, we're going to leave. After the crash, when the ambulance and stuff arrived, they actually cut my shirt off and then they cut off my base layer, which is fair enough. I understand that's what you got to do. It was my $400 Fox. I think it's called a D30 base layer. So I was spewing about that. When I got home from hospital, I was checking out my gear and the pants seemed fine apart from a few little holes in the right knee. Because I wear knee pads underneath, it wasn't really a big deal, so I thought that was a good score being able to keep the pants. But I didn't check them over thoroughly enough because the morning that we left, I couldn't do them up. Luckily at the shed, I managed to get 2 cable ties and a drill and drill 2 holes through plastic tongue through the material and get 2 cable ties onto that, so it actually connected. And so far so good. I'm not going to replace my pants anytime soon. Fly Enduro pants, I believe. They are just like a set of motocross pants, but a little bit heavier weight. They have a thicker leather on the inside of the calf, and they also have pockets. And the good thing about the pockets on these is when you undo them, the inside liner of the pocket is actually mesh. So if you were to have your pockets undone at the front, they also have a rear zipper, which you undo, and it creates through ventilation. So they're a very versatile pair of pants. They feel just as free as a set of motocross pants, but they just feel that little bit more substantial. Needless to say, I didn't really want to replace them if I didn't have to. I think in the dry times or unusual riding conditions, Rocky River Road is set to have between 5 and 10 little causeways or little river crossings. However, we've gone just after we've had a fair bit of rain, and if you want to call any concrete causeway with enough water to go through it, a bit more than a puddle, we counted about 20. So pretty special time to roll through there. Out of those causeways, I'd say 5 or 6 of them were enough to pay attention, just to keep your wheels steady. One of them in particular had a fair bit of sideways flow. You just angle into it a little bit, take it easy. But yeah, they're all pretty tame. As you'll see later, the water coming through Bunga Walbin was the best.
Don't worry about the bike, just how are you?
History has been on station high. Bitty serves current day. Teeny boppers are newborn king of house. Keep pounding a rhythm to the breath.
You alright, man? Don't worry about the bike, just how are you?
Yeah, I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
Aaron, do you want to pose for the camera there for Shithouse ADV?
I'm sure we've all heard of Shithouse ADV by now, the Facebook page. So everyone just pretty well posts in their bust ups, any crap thing that happens, a lot of bikes on the ground. But yeah, Aaron will be making it to Shithouse ADV. Sometimes as a new rider, you can get what's called target fixation. I've had it myself. Quick little story. When I had my learner's permit on my first bike, which is a Yamaha XVS 650 cruiser bike, I had the same thing. Just got on there, keen as mustard, bit fatigued, up all night thinking about the ride the next day. Basically coming around a corner, target fixation where I didn't want to go and not looking at the exit of the corner. And sure enough, my bike followed where my eyes went. That was a good lesson. Luckily, I managed to walk away from that. Minor scuffs and bumps, whatever. Bike was written off, unfortunately, snapped a steering lug. Managed to dig in and go end for end and end up over a farmer's fence. So yeah, 300 kilometers on the bike and a ride-off. That's how easy it can happen. All of that to say, yeah, the bloke who was with us, he got that target fixation and managed to follow a rut in the road. As an experienced rider, you look at a rut like that, it doesn't even cross your mind. You basically just instinctively accelerate and take that loading off the front forks and just skim right over. It's not really a worry. As a new rider, however, some things can seem daunting and you can get target fixation, look down where you don't want to look. So yeah, number one takeaway from that is look where you want to go and just trust that 21-inch front tire will just make it over. It'd have to be a deep rut not to make it over. Another thing with adventure riding, pack a pair of pliers. Now, if everyone in your group has a pair of pliers, you can fix a fence. We found that out the hard way. And to add to that, a quality pair of pliers. If you're going to get foldable pliers, something like a Leatherman, something high quality with good steel, it's worth its weight in gold. This particular song, it really stuck with me. That evening as we're rolling into Paddy's Flat Road heading south towards the campground, I decided to turn my intercom on. It Bluetoothed my phone and the last thing that was on my Spotify was Song Discovery. And this particular song came up and I was just vibing it all the way down Paddy's Flat Road and turned into Clarence River Wilderness Lodge. And it's got a 7-kilometre driveway undulating up and down with beautiful views on each side. It's coming into my favourite time of day, the golden hour. Just music with that scenery, with that little bit of challenge, just made for a beautiful evening. So that's the song that had to be in the vlog. It was a no-brainer. One of the blokes we were with did find it more challenging than the rest of us and he took his time, but he made it and that was after his crash. Yeah, hats off to him and he'll be a better rider on the next one. Entering the campsite, it was really good to see that you could buy firewood there in crates, approximately $10 a crate of firewood. There were plenty of fire pits, there were amenities, there's hot water showers, there was even a pizza oven. So yeah, it's a pretty magical place there on the river. I couldn't recommend it enough. It was peaceful, scenic, clean, well kept. If there wasn't a lot of recent rain, the water would have been a lot clearer and there were kayaks on site where you could probably paddle up and down. However, it was flowing a little bit hard to entertain that in and out kind of basis. So definitely to be continued. I will be returning. Tabulum in the last 7 months have actually redone their service station. For some time that service station was non-existent. You could see the remnants of an old servo, but there was nowhere to get fuel. Your nearest place was, I believe, Tenterfield or prior to that, Casino. So especially if you're doing a lot of riding around that Drake area and need a little home base to get fuel or come back to, snacks, water, it's great to have something there now. So that's a game changer. I'll definitely be coming back and riding the Rocky River Road again and probably again and again. Sugarloaf Road, it was a real shame that it was closed at the end. I mean, I didn't explore too much because it was quite boggy in the ground and a couple of the riders there weren't quite up to pushing bikes through riverbeds, understandably. In terms of following the main road on Sugarloaf Road, we got to an end that forestry said was closed. There was a sign and I could clearly see on the Gaia maps that if we went around, we could get to where that comes to and continue on our path to Lawrence. So that's what we ended up doing. However, there were a few offshoot roads. Maybe in my own time or me and Bill go back, we will take some of those little roads and see where they go. Explore a little bit further. One little tip I like to do on Gaia maps is when I come to a dead end, I'll actually put one of the red pinpoints there with a caption like no through heading north or gate closed, closed due to tree down, X, Y, and Z. I also save all of those markers in a folder under road closures and notes, something along those lines. If you want to check on the fly where something is closed, if you're in the mood for marking out maps, you can turn the visual of that folder on so you can see all the places that may have stops, so you can then map your routes around them. Just a little tip. And the one we all want the comment on, that long puddle on the Bungawalbin Whipperee Road. Prior to this one in the video, there was a puddle that was probably about 50 metres long. It was relatively shallow, probably just over your ankle, nothing really. Beautiful reflection at that time of day, just in the golden hour, sun's just getting to the edge of the hills and it was just like looking at the sky. It was glass. So going through that first one, I assumed the second one would have been a very similar depth. But as we started to go into it, I noticed it go over my front tyre. honestly started to panic a little bit. Instinct was, if I go just that little bit faster, I might create a wake around the front of the bike, and if I do get around that seat height or over the seat height, it would push forwards and be able to suck the air. That was my train of thought, to create that little air pocket. However, as you can see on the video, I was between the 20 and 30 kilometer mark, and it was just enough to flare the water up over the bike and drench me. And going first too, I didn't know what to expect. If I was following someone going slower, I would have just putted along behind them and everything would have been fine. And interestingly, I felt my front fender diving down in the water as I went faster, and you could feel it just start to rub on the tire. My heart's racing, and in my helmet I'm just saying, keep going, don't stop, don't stop. Yeah, when I got to the other end, I was absolutely soaked. There was water on my phone, the screen was flickering up and down, and we still had another 30-40 minutes to get home, so it was a bit chilly. When I turn around, I see Nick, Bill and Jai just kind of putting through at a decent pace, and they barely come out with wet boots. The other thing that wigged me out was looking at the reflectors on the sides of the road. Less and less were sticking out towards the middle, and there was a bit of a pothole in the middle when the water was at its deepest and flicked me around, and that just reaffirmed that I should keep my accelerator on, and yeah, that definitely added to the moisture.